Hello and welcome to Ryan Watches a Movie. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
We're also joined by Ryan Holes. Hey, Ryan. If this is your first time tuning in, Kevin and I are challenging ourselves to find movies that Ryan likes in the hopes that we will reach a coveted 10 out of 10. You can join in on the conversation by sending your movie suggestions for Ryan to podcast@filmpulse.net or by sending me a DM on Twitter @filmpulsenet. If you like the show, or even if you don't, please be sure to check out the Frederick's Ataxia Research Alliance website at curefa.org. I feel like we should just be calling every podcast that we do from now on the Corona Cast.
I mean, you could if you want to.
I'm good with that.
I don't know if anybody has created the Corona Cast yet, but I feel like that's a good name for a podcast.
I'm sure I will look it up.
It just needs to be on repeat. Someone saying, stay the fuck inside.
Wash your hands, stay inside, don't be an asshole.
Yeah, this is a Corona Cast. ABC Radio.
Oh,
Corona Cast.
nice. Good job, ABC Radio, snatching that up.
Yeah, 2 days ago. Are we all going to die? We answer kids' questions.
Well, the funny thing is, I don't think you need to listen to a dedicated podcast about coronavirus because every podcast is about coronavirus at this point. Doesn't matter.
Pretty much all content is corona-related.
Everything you consume is coronavirus. You go on YouTube, it's nothing but that. You go on any podcast, they're just talking about it. Go on a wrestling podcast, it's nothing but corona. Everything. Corona all day, every day, because this is the world we live in for now at least. Anyway, we did have you watch a movie this week, Ryan. What was it?
Dredd.
This is the 2012 version. This is directed by Pete Travis. I have a synopsis here. In a violent, futuristic city where the police have the authority to act as judge, jury, and executioner, a cop teams with a trainee to take down a gang that deals the reality-altering drug slow-mo. Ryan, tell us a little bit about Dredd.
Well, there's a bad guy that murders a few drug dealers who fucked up. And the judges come to his, I guess I'll call it apartment building, but they're like 200 floors, and they go there and arrest him. And before they can get out, the owner of the building, or the drug lord, she shuts it down with like metal barriers, and she announces that she wants them dead, and they basically have to move up each floor to eventually kill her. And at one point when they're going up, she calls in 4 more judges, and they're secretly working for her. So they try to kill the good guys, and they can't. And in the end, the good guys, miraculously with some teamwork, make it up, beat her, kill her, and movie is over. They made the ground floor and leave.
But do they live happily ever after?
I guess.
Wow.
Sort of.
First off, that was pretty short.
Yeah.
It was a pretty short one. And second,
oh yeah, and the trainee cop, she has mind reading abilities, which come in handy at certain points in the movie.
I would imagine. I was just going to say, I was kind of surprised too that it didn't end with everyone living happily ever after.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Well, they've done the girl cop. Did she not get the job in it?
I think she does. It's been a long time since I've seen this.
I was very confused because, he said she fell on, and then he said she passed, and then she kind of walked away, all irritated. But the movie was over, so I was a little bit confused.
I think she got it.
It sounds like she got it, but it's just weird because usually when you do the run through, usually the they live happily ever after. It's kind of like that's when you know that it's done. So it kind of throws you when you don't hear that.
Yeah. So what did you think of Dredd, Ryan?
It was alright, but I prefer the Raid. This may reminded me of the Raid a lot.
Yeah, so if you couldn't tell from the rundown that Ryan gave, which I think was good, this movie's The Raid. Like it is pretty much a remake. Exactly like. There's no way in hell that this wasn't inspired by The Raid. It follows the same exact structure where it's almost nonstop action. You start off with Judge Dredd, played by Carl Urban, and the rookie Olivia Thirlby, I believe, and they just go floor by floor, just taking out the drug dealers. Obviously, there's more high-tech weaponry and stuff being used here, but it's pretty much The Raid. I actually liked it. I liked it.
Was the trainee as other girl from Juno, the best friend?
Yes.
I thought I recognized her, but I couldn't figure out where.
One of the interesting things about this is that Carl Urban never removes the helmet in this, which a lot of people were praising, including myself, that they actually committed to it. They never had him remove the helmet. And I thought that was kind of cool.
There were some funny moments in it. There were, like you said, I like the weaponry because they can basically say out loud what kind of bullets they want, and there's a digital readout. Oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought Carl Urban was really well cast as Dredd. I thought that he brought a lot more personality to the character, and it I don't know, it just felt. I'm not really well versed with the comic books or the comic series or strips or whatever. I think that Judge Dredd started in 2000 AD, that magazine. But while I'm not super familiar with the series, it seems like Carl Urban is a better fit than Stallone was in the original movie adaptation. And if I remember correctly, the Stallone version, he almost never had the helmet on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
While I think that this one, the 2012 one, is better. It's a better movie overall than the 95 version. I still think that Judge Dredd 95 is pretty fun, even though it's pretty bad. I still have
we go up with it, man. That man will always be awesome, no matter how bad it is.
You do have Rob Schneider in there in the original one, so at least you have that.
Which didn't we? Yeah, you watched that for Ryan watches the movie, didn't you?
Did you watch it,
Ryan? One?
The original?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
He gave it a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Right. Sandy loves it. 4 out of 10.
And Ryan's tagline is, hold on. Gotta try and pull myself together.
I just read it. I just read the tagline.
I do love it.
Maybe you can give it a shot, because I don't think I'm going to get through it.
I know, it's a terrible. I like it.
So your tagline...
Ryan, can you guess what the tagline is, Ryan?
Your tagline for Judge Dredd is Sylvester Stallone looked like he had a face stroke.
Sylvester Stallone.
Oh my god.
He always looks like that.
Face stroke. As opposed to like a different kind of stroke. This was specifically a stroke of the face.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Oh man. What did you think of the action sequences, specifically the ones that were done in the kind of super slow-mo style? Not impressed?
No, sometimes the CG may look really, really fake.
It's interesting that you brought that up, because I don't think I've seen this since it was in the theater. And I did want to revisit it for this show, but it just kind of crept up on me. I didn't have time to watch it, but I was curious to see how the effects work held up, because I remember in theaters, this was in 3D, and I remember being really impressed with those like super slow-mo scenes when people are like getting shot and really fucked up in slow motion, and you see all like their flesh being torn apart and like bullets flying through their face and stuff. I was just
that probably does look really good 3D. It just didn't. I mean, almost 10 years later.
I know that. See, that's the crazy thing is I can't believe this movie came out like 8 years ago. It's so wild to me. But I saw that movie Bloodshot this week, and I was sort of reminded of Dredd while watching Bloodshot and thinking to myself, man, Dredd was really good, and this movie is really not good at all. But they do like the super slow-mo stuff in that a little bit, but it's PG-13, so it's all very, very like neutral. There's not a lot of blood and stuff happening in that movie. I was really hoping that they would do a sequel to this, and I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, it lost money. It lost a pretty significant amount of money. So this had an estimated budget of $50 million, which that's a mid-sized budget. The gross USA amount was $13 million, so lost quite a bit domestically, and worldwide it grossed 41 million. So yeah, and that's not including marketing, obviously, either. I don't think there was a huge marketing push behind this, but I'm sure that it was millions of dollars regardless. So yeah.
Weren't there like toys for the first movie?
The first one, yeah, there was definitely there were toys, there was a video game, there was a lot of merchandising because the first one came out in the mid 90s. Right, that was like during the heyday of merchandising. I mean, every movie had its own video game and action figures back then, and this was also during the time when they were making a lot of comic book adaptations, like not superheroes necessarily, but you had like Barbed Wire and Tank Girl coming out around this time too. So there was like this really big indie comic boom that was happening in movies too. So yeah, lots of merchandising for the original.
Tank Girl wasn't Pauly Shore in that movie.
No, Ice-T was.
Mm.
If you want to hear us talk about Tank Girl, listen to this month's episode of Saved by the 90s. We talk about Tank Girl in detail.
What movie am I thinking of? That he was in?
He was in the Army Now.
Is that what are you getting In the Army Now confused with Tank Girl?
Well,
Please tell me that.
In the Army Now, the poster for In the Army Now shows him, he's either standing on or in front of a tank, I think, if I remember the In the Army Now poster correctly.
Okay. He's standing in front of two tanks and a huge explosion.
Okay, yeah.
And 4 helicopters.
I remember
Bones Conway.
I really liked that movie when I was a kid. I remember really loving In the Army Now. Oh my god. I should rewatch that.
No, you shouldn't, because it'll be awful now.
Probably, yeah. All right. Anything else to add about Dredd before we give you your drum roll?
No, not really. Watch the Raid instead.
Okay, fair enough.
It's interesting to have Ryan advocating watching a movie with subtitles instead of the English language movie. How about that? Who would have thought?
The Raid is one I can really, really get behind.
It's got subtitles, but let's be honest, there's not a whole lot of dialogue happening in that movie.
Yeah, there's not. You can kind of piece it together.
Yeah, not a lot of reading involved in the Raid. All right.
There's a whole lot of ass kicking.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. It's pretty much wall-to-wall ass kicking. I mean, just over full with ass kicking. Now, there is one, just to go back a ways, the face stroke thing. I just want to clear that up with some facts here. And Ryan, you should be honestly thinking that Sylvester Stallone always looks like he has a face stroke because part of his face is paralyzed, and it was paralyzed at birth.
That's what I said. I said earlier, he always looked like that.
Yeah, he's been like that forever.
I didn't know that part. I didn't know it was true.
I actually didn't know that either.
Yeah, they had to use forceps, and they fucked it up and severed a nerve. and half of the bottom half of his left side of his face is paralyzed. So he did not have a stroke, I don't think, yet. I mean, there's still time.
If he keeps doing these like Rambo movies and stuff, I think a stroke could be in his future, or a heart attack.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising to me that he hasn't had a stroke. Like, it's nuts to me that I had a stroke before Sly Stallone. Like, that's not fair.
Especially if if you see the new Rambo movie, like, he's shirtless in a lot of that, and he's still like freaking jacked.
Like, how often? Like, he lifts so many heavy things and has done so his entire life. Like, I don't do that. Like, very rarely.
It's funny to see the transformation in him, like in the Rambo movies, or even in the Rocky movies. You could say the same thing, because even when he was younger, like he was always a pretty big dude. He was really built, but like as it went on, he got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then like in the last two Rambo movies, when he's like in his 50s and 60s, he's like the biggest he's ever been. It's like what? I mean, I know that he's like he's juicing big time, but.
That to me like older face, younger body. That looks like a mishmash of two people.
Anyway.
Like Sylvester Stallone and CG.
Sylvester Stallone and CG. All right. Let's go ahead and give you your drum roll on this, Ryan. What do you give Dredd?
6.
That is a 6 out of 10. Not too bad. I thought you were going to like this more for some reason.
I thought it was too.
I didn't hate it. It's compared to other movies, like way better.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wonder, like, if he never saw The Raid, how would he responded to this movie? You know?
Yeah, that's a great theory to see how that.
Because I think that like that's. Yeah, I think that's what's holding him back here. He's just like, well, I could just watch The Raid instead.
I don't know if I wrote a review about this on the site, but I remember, like, on Letterboxd, I did write a review, actually. I gave it a 7 out of 10 on the site, and on Letterboxd, I gave it a 3 out of 5, so that doesn't really match up, but...
There you go.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, for next time we meet, what are you feeling?
Oh, yeah.
Comedy, keeping it light.
I need a laugh right now.
Gotcha.
We all do.
Yeah.
We all do, buddy.
When we were discussing what to give you, the first thing that we were talking about was Contagion or Outbreak, and then we were like, no, you know what? No.
This is...
The other day I thought about going back and rewatching Outbreak, but that it's not really like it's on. Is Outbreak? I haven't seen it forever. Is it bloodborne or airborne?
It starts off as like more of like an Ebola type thing, but then it evolves and mutates and into the air. So there's a scene when it like changes, like the strain changes and becomes airborne. I know this because I just watched Outbreak recently again for Saved by the 90s. You can hear us talk about that movie.
Stop talking about your other podcast. It's cutting it on Ryan's turf.
Yeah, that's rude. It's becoming shameless at this point.
Fucking rude. Ryan, fight back. Stand up for yourself. Your goddamn show.
Ryan, I will say if you're looking to watch one of the two, I would recommend Contagion, because it's a way better movie. Like, it's basically what Outbreak should have been. Like, Outbreak, when you watch Outbreak, it's a disaster movie. It's like a Roland Emmerich movie. I mean, it is shoot, I can't remember who directed it. The one of the big disaster movie guys directed Outbreak, and it plays out just like a disaster movie. But Contagion is much more realistic and grounded, and it's really kind of bizarre, the parallels between Soderbergh's film and what we're experiencing now. Like in the movie, one of the things that Lawrence Fishburne's character says is social distancing. He's just like, we need to practice social distancing. And I totally forgot about that until I rewatched it. And I was just like, holy shit, it's kind of bizarre.
It is.
All right. So we'll give you a comedy next week. We'll try to keep it light, keep it a little bit more fun. Any final remarks before we close it out for this week?
Wash your hands.
Yes, wash your hands, please. Stay inside.
Good advice. Good advice.
Any of the younger listeners out there who think that they can't get affected by this, the numbers show that the younger people are ending up in the hospital in larger numbers than before. So even if the chances are slim that you will actually be affected by this virus, if you do get it, please remember that you could end up giving it to someone who is infected or is susceptible, like Ryan, for instance. Don't give Ryan coronavirus.
Please don't.
We will be extremely pissed. So stay indoors. Practice social distancing. Don't. I was talking to one of my friends. This was like a couple weeks ago. So I'm hoping that he's changed his way of living. But he was telling me that he was at like some party like a week ago, and I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing,
dude? I haven't left the house except for today. But even then, I didn't even get out of my car. I think I've left my house once for like the last 2.5 weeks.
It'll be like that for a little while, but if we all work together, we'll get through this.
Look at Ryan, just bringing us together. You're the fucking president. You're so much more goddamn presidential.
Don't with Ryan.
Yes, you got the
text. All right. I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your picks for Ryan to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet, @FilmPulseKevin, and @MyLegsDon'tWork. And if you have a minute, please consider giving us a review on your podcast platform of choice. For Kevin Rakestraw and Ryan Holes, my name's Adam Patterson, and we'll see you later.
See you later.